I remember New York was out of control until they got a new mayor. What was the name of the mayor of New York? It used to be the mayor of New York. And Giuliani. And all order came together in New York. I know, a white guy, right? And then once he resigned or his term ran out or he was voted out, a non-white person took over, and now, New York is a dangerous place again. Last night or yesterday, ABC 6 is reporting that 6 Philadelphia police officers shot, and the suspect surrenders after a standoff. And if you notice that this black guy in Philadelphia shot 6 Philadelphia police officers. That's a mass shooting. But you're not going to hear it called mass shooting. You're not going to hear the Democrats or the blacks or anyone saying that black people commit mass shootings as well. They're going to call it something else. A gunman surrendered early this morning following a standoff with Philadelphia police that lasted more than 7 hours, leaving 6 officers shot and others injured. Mass shooting, right? But it's not going to be called that. Matter of fact, the mayor blamed the NRA and a lack of standing up to the NRA. They want to take your guns. How can you trust these people with taking your guns? Here's that soundbite, the first soundbite.
Breaking overnight, this is the dramatic moment when the suspect surrendered in the shooting of 6 Philadelphia police officers.
It came after a tense standoff lasting more than 7 hours, marked often by gunfire breaking out.
All 6 of the officers who were shot have since been released from the hospital, while this morning we are learning more about the suspect, 34-year-old Maurice Hill, and what led him to surrender.
Matt and Tam, yes, this is where the suspect was taken. 3 of the officers who were injured were also taken here. 6 officers were shot. 9 total were injured. All of the 6 officers who were shot have been released from the hospital.
So 6 officers shot, according to the report. 9 others injured, or 9 in total injured. Isn't that a mass shooting? Why is it not being called a mass shooting? Because the suspect is black. They can't call it white supremacist. They can't go after the white male. And the people just lolly-dolly through it. No problem. White people not calling and calling it out, calling, hey, this is a mass shooting. How about black supremacists? A white Democrat mayor blamed the federal and state government for not standing up to the NRA. Isn't that amazing? And it's been reported that the shooter was banned from having guns because he was a felon. But yeah, he had guns. Philadelphia Action News report more detail on the incident.
The shooting started around 4:30 p.m. after police tried to serve a narcotics warrant. The team was ambushed, officers escaping out of doors and windows to avoid bullets.
Even when I was on scene, he fired multiple rounds, many of which that struck the SWAT truck.
Word of 1 officer shot, then 2, then 3. In all, 6 officers shot and 3 more sustained other injuries. SWAT was eventually able to extract 2 police officers that were trapped upstairs. 3 people that officers had taken into custody in the house before the shooting were also evacuated.
That was the police commissioner speaking. Doesn't he seem helpless? He black. He seemed helpless. He doesn't speak with a sense of confidence. And why is it that this lasted so long with one black guy in there? shouldn't they have thrown one of those smoke bombs in there earlier, gas bombs or whatever they call them, and shot this guy out of there? This should not have gone on all day and all night. This is insane. The policemen's hands are tired. They're not able to do their job anymore. Here's where they touch on details of Marcus Hill's life. Maurice Hill's life, the accused shooter.
Sources confirm Hill has a long criminal record of drug offenses dating back to 2003. We now know that Hill called his attorney, Shaka Johnson, around 8:30 p.m., 4 hours into the standoff, asking for help and advice. Johnson maintained communication with him and was there as Hill surrendered.
And after 11:45, we're not certain where this is going to go. So I need you to come on out. He has a newborn daughter, 2 days old. He has a teenage son. So he had all sorts of considerations as well.
He must have not had that many considerations to even start doing this. It's just mind-blowing what's happening, how weak our system is today in this country, catering to so-called minority people, while innocent people are being shot and killed in many cases. These 6 officers, had they been allowed to do their job, I guarantee you, this guy wouldn't have gotten away with that. But because he's black and whites are timid, and colored people are being catered to, it's going out of control. The Philadelphia shooter should never have been allowed to be on the streets. He has a long and very dangerous criminal record. Looked like he was having a good time after his capture. And after wounding so many police, long sentences must get much tougher on street crime. Instead of punishing these people, the Democrats are letting them out. Obama started that, as far as I know. Let out the people of color. Too many people of color in jail, in prisons. They're planning to build a new prison in downtown L.A. And you have the stupid people of color downtown L.A. following some woman saying that, oh, we don't want to build any more prisons. So they don't want to correct the blacks in the families, in their homes. They don't want to correct them in the streets with crime and all that madness. Now they don't want to even build prisons to put them in. They act as though white people are causing black people to commit crimes. I just never seen anything so crazy before. And then one of the greatest lies that's out there is that poverty causes crimes. So if that's true, how do you explain the crime that the government is committing? There are politicians running out of government and they commit all kinds of crimes and they get away with it. And blacks are, right? The only thing that their leaders need to do to the blacks now is tell them, you know what? Drink this cyanide and we'll blame it on the whites. And they'll do it. We'll blame it on the cops. They'll do it. They really would. Here is an example of that. A perfect, and by the way, my biblical question, what's the difference between Christians and what's the difference between a Christian and a non-Christian? But here's a perfect example. Watch how these people are in a trance. Where they come from? It's like they came up out the ground or something. I used to watch this movie called The Living Dead. You ever seen it? No. The Living Dead, and all of a sudden these people come up out the ground and they're just walking like this.
I like those zombie movies.
That's how the blacks are. Here's an example.
Right.
A crowd taunts police, Philly's police officers, and they laugh at them during a standoff while Philadelphia police officers were dealing with a gunman who shot 6 of their own during a standoff. Cops also had to deal with being taunted by some bystanders. This is from Twitter. This is cell phone footage of the crowd. Watch this. They're in a trance. They don't know it. Watch this. The Walking Dead. Look at that. Pushing the cop.
And the black cop.
You hate one, you hate all. See?
Pepper spray here.
Isn't that amazing? The cops are trying to stop a man who is shooting from a building, and they've already shot their own 6 other cops. And look at the blacks. They come out of the hellhole in a trance. What a nice piece, Nick. Thank you, man. You see my point? I'm not making this stuff up.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's. I know for a fact, and I see firsthand that just when you're that angry, there's no good around you that you can see. So even if the cops are protecting you or whatever the case is, if you're a victim and you're angry, you're done for.
These black people, there's a black man in a building, they're shooting from the building. He's already shot 6 other cops. They're in a standoff. And these black people, they are trying to stop the cop. They're attacking the cops. And then as soon as that shooter shoots one of them, then they're going to blame the cop for that.
Right.
Oh, the cop didn't protect us. Any of those so-called civil rights leaders could have walked out there with that black crowd right there and said, here, y'all, drink some of this cyanide so we can blame these cops. They would have done it.
That's a good point, yeah.
Drink the cyanide. And my concern is for all people, but white folks, white young males. You're headed down the same road. You just don't know it. State has convinced you to hate. And I blame your parents for it, because had they been good parents, righteous parents, you wouldn't be headed down the road of destruction. You would not be. They didn't defend you. They didn't set good examples in their homes. And that's why you're doing it. And I want you to notice that this is from CBS Philly. CBS Philly barely touched on the taunting and seemingly blamed the crowd. Blamed the crowd's actions on the sound of gunfire. This is from CBS Philadelphia. This is a news report on the story.
I do want to mention something disappointing that I saw today. I did see a crowd taunting police in the middle of all of this. But what I'll say is the most frightening thing I think we experienced is that earlier in the day, the gunfire seemed to rattle people as they heard it. But as it continued on, it seemed to be something that they and we all became accustomed to. And that is not something you want for any city. While the rain has driven away most of the onlookers, police are still out here trying to do their job.
Amazing. No, the most awful thing is the crowd. It's not the shooter. The shooter is bad. But the fact that these black people went out there and attacked the cops during that situation, that's the most awful thing. Wake up, America. Satan is busy. Wake up, men, so you can save the world. White men, don't go down the road of anger. The Jews are not your fault. The Jews are not to blame for your weakness.